Welcome, love. This is Sex, Drugs, and Sound Bowls, and I'm Jessie Siren, here to stir the cauldron with raw psycho-spiritual talks on healing, plant medicine, sex, motherhood, and the sacred chaos that cracks us open and lights the way forward. Expect deep truth and raw feels that leave you inspired, held in your humanness, and ready to take your rightful place as the creator of your own experience. With a deep breath and an open heart, let's be all the way here now. Hello and welcome back to Sex, Drugs, and Sound Bowls. I'm Jessie Siren, as always reporting mid-mush, mid-dissolution, mid-chrysalis. Today's episode is a special episode. It's going to be all my best tips and tricks on how to age 10 years in the span of just 5 days. You're going to want to stay to the end of this one. I'm having this layered cake experience of life at the moment. I'm feeling so many things, grief, and underneath that a rage, a deep rage, and underneath that old trauma is triggered, and underneath that there's shame and shoulding and so many things fighting. It's like there's a war inside of me. And I'm trying to just soften and allow myself to feel it all. And for me, sometimes just showing up authentically and sharing God is a way to let myself do that, and also a way to connect, because if I'm feeling all this, I can imagine there's somebody else in the world who could benefit from hearing they're not alone. Fuck, I could benefit. I'm going to try to take a story that spans 5 decades and cram it into something bite-sized. It's just hard to express the gravity of what we're going through right now, because I've been a lot of places in the world. And I didn't know that life, that love, that community could be as sweet and special as I experience it to be here in this little magical place on the Cedar River, where community isn't just community, where it's fucking family. We love each other, we take care of each other. And in a season of life where for the past couple decades, I've just slowly been stripped away of my own blood, my own family, right? For being myself, for speaking my truth, for having healthy boundaries. All of that just stripped away, right? I have found myself anchored in this chosen community, this chosen family, in a way that has fucking given me roots when I felt like I would just wither. Given me life, giving me purpose, giving me meaning, giving me connection, and just sweetness. So how to tell the story? I don't even know. First, you'd have to know my mother-in-law. She's as close as you can get to a real life fairy godmother. I mean, she's just fucking straight pure magic. Anywhere she goes, the checkout line at Safeway, she just brings a light with her, and you feel like you're doing something, you're with somebody special, something important is happening, even if you're just checking her out, even if you're just talking about the weather. So you'd have to know her, and you'd have to know how she loves. So many siblings, I don't know how many siblings, but she's always looking out for all of them. Some of them more incapacitated than others, so paying their bills, checking in, driving people to and from doctor appointments, just fucking taking care of everybody. In the community, just always making sure that everybody has what they need. Picking up John's cat litter and making sure his fridge is stocked, and bringing a hot meal to X or every holiday, you name it, there was always a community meal that everyone was invited to. And not only would she go all out and just have everything you could imagine, right? And enough for you to fill your plate 3 times. But she would never let anyone leave empty-handed. Even on Easter. she would make sure even the grown-ups had an Easter basket. She was a school teacher. She isn't a woman of a lot of means, but God, a lot of heart. You'd always have a place at her table, even if she wasn't counting on you. I mean, I've seen so many times, someone popping in last minute for Christmas and her just going in the back and whipping together a little stocking for them so that they would have some, socks and a new toothbrush and some chocolates and just get to feel a part. And that was her, okay? That was her. And so she had a baby, and that baby was my husband. And John was there, to watch Matt grow and to love him. And when Matt turned 19 and walked out back to find his dad passed of a heart attack, I think John filled in this place, he could never fill in the shoes of Matt's dad, but of this masculine presence. And he taught Matt a lot, and before Matt's dad passed, they cultivated this beautiful community property, all brambles, into a gorgeous garden. And Matt continued to work on that garden after his dad passed, and him and John would do the thing together, and Sue. And I remember when I was 14, 15, maybe, standing out in the river with my best friend, and she was pointing up at that garden, that beautiful garden, and she said, "That's Matt, mowing the lawn, his favorite pastime." First place I saw him. And even when Matt would go off to school or live in the city, he was always, God, I think the day his dad passed, he became a man. And he was always coming down to cut the hedges and take care of his mom and check in and see what she needed. And I think he has just as much of that heart as she does in his own way, right? And he's a doer and a fixer and a helper and just so service oriented. And he did that for John, and he did that for his mom. And there was this beautiful symbiosis in this community, right? We all kind of helped each other out. And John had his tractors and his tools and would help to, take a load to the dump or bring in some new gravel or some new dirt for the garden. And then Matt and me would get married in this garden. The same garden he cultivated with his dad, the same garden I saw him mowing when I was 15, the same garden he had lived on his whole life. And then, we would daydream I wish we could live there in the garden you cultivated, in the garden where I saw you, in the garden where we got married. And but it was a silly dream, a pipe dream, because the people that live here, these sweet humans, they're just rooted like these ancient trees. They're not going anywhere, and you don't want them to go anywhere, right? They're the roots of this community. And so, we come down and we cultivate the garden still every year, year after year, and we'd have garden parties, and we had babies, and our kids came to know John as Uncle John. And one year he couldn't pay his property taxes and offered to write us into the will, and we just buy this little bus-sized property of land, unbuildable, but perfect for a bus, and we did. And he wrote us into his will, and we felt so blessed, right? This land that we've been dreaming of was now in part ours. So we built a bus into a home and moved on to this tiny little plot of land right behind Uncle John, right behind the garden that Matt had spent his life cultivating, the place where I had first seen him, the place where we got married. And we became, I guess, even more anchored, more rooted into this place, into this community. And we took care of each other. I don't really know how to say it, except it kind of felt like we lived in one big old house. John had these kittens the boys were obsessed with, and they watched them come into the world and then took care of them, and we're going over there every day to see Uncle John's cats, and we did birthdays and holidays together, and every day, day in, day out, bringing him meals and making sure his nutritional needs were met, and making him herbal concoctions for his joints, and making sure that he had hugs and kisses, and making sure that he knew he was loved. somewhere in the middle of all of this, a friend of John starts to come around more. And I got a little feeling about it, but he starts to hang out more and more and more. And John's health is just declining a lot. He can barely get around now, kind of has to drag himself. His joints hurt so bad. He's in so much pain. He's drinking more than we've seen him drink in years. We're worried about him. Matt makes his daily check-ins to make sure that he's alive, that he's okay. I make my check-ins to make sure he's got food and electrolytes. But one night he's really bad. And he says something to Matt about, can't afford to live here. Put your son into the will. And Matt's just like, what? And the conversation kind of fizzles out because John is drinking. And Matt comes home and he's kind of crushed. He's like, I don't know what he's talking about. I don't know if this has already happened. I don't really know anything about this. But Matt and me talk, and we come back into the heart space, and John and Matt had kind of left on rough terms. So the very next day, we go over and we just say, like, we don't want to fight, John. We love you. We love you. And we want you here as long as you can be, for any way that you can be. And we wish you would have talked to us. And little side note, I had gone the day before without Matt, just to say, like, hey, you can't talk to Matt that way. You really crushed him. You really hurt his feelings. And John says, oh, he's my son. I think I know when he's upset, and I'm like, he was really crushed. Oh, I see how that could have been. Yeah, I could see that. I wish it didn't have to be this way. And so, yeah, so we came the next day together, and we just loved on him, and we left it at that. Love you. And the very next day, I get a phone call from Matt. I get a text message, and the text message says, call me as soon as you can. And I just knew. And I called him right away. And I said, you scared me. What's up? And he just said, John died. And this root, this deep taproot, this like vital organ of the body, of this functional body of this community, felt like a limb, an appendage, which just ripped away. And I drove home. I was holding space for a journey, and I drove home as fast as I could, and I got here, and God bless my sweet kids. I came into the bus and they were like teary, and he was in so much pain. Maybe he's in a better place now. And I believe, Indio, I believe we come back as someone new, and I think he's gonna come back soon. Poor baby. And go find Daddy's so upset. So I go to find Matt. And he's at the house, and John's still lying there. Mind you, because of Matt's daily check-ins, Matt is the one that found him. Matt came to check on him, and the shower was running, and he came back an hour later, and the shower was running still, and he knew. But he walked in, and he went in, and he was the one that found John. And so Matt's sitting in that room. They're waiting for the funeral home or whoever comes. John's sister's there, and this friend is here. And I know everybody grieves in a different way, but I was watching this friend, and he was kind of saying, like, this John's car, I guess it's my truck now. Cracking jokes, going through packages, going through stuff. John's still in the other room. My kids come in and go say their goodbyes. Even Nico threw a fit, had to see him. See you in the next life, said Indy. I'll take care of your cats and make sure they have good homes. Maybe I'll keep them, said Jude. And this friend out there just feeling. And you know about the will, right? He said. And so we get back into the bus and I'm talking to Matt and I'm like, it just doesn't feel right. Like something feels off. I know people grieve in a weird way, but like, and Matt was like, maybe it's because he's just inherited the entire estate. And I'm putting all the pieces together, the conversation with John. And I'm like, I'm just mind blown. And it doesn't stop there, right? The next day, he brings his son out to see the place. And it doesn't stop there. My mother-in-law pleads, please slow down. Like, this is, you don't know what this means to our community. You can't understand what this means to us. Like, we just need some time. Like, please just slow down. Oh, I understand. I'm going to slow down. And then the next day, he's here and he grabs the truck and takes it out to get fixed. And he's pulling stuff out of the house and he's moving stuff around in the yard. And, you know, we look out of our bus window and we can't not see it. We can't not be affected by it. And so in comes this layered experience, so much fucking grief. I have cried more for this man than I have for my blood. Because I want him here. I can't imagine a summer without him. My boys were just like, they were gonna build a racing tractor together, and I was excited for this initiation for them. John said when they were 16, they'd each get a tractor from him. He had a special affinity for tractors. He has 30 of them, if you're wondering. I remember my kids went through a season where they were obsessed with Lawnmower Detective. Lawnmower Detective, which you should check out on YouTube just for kicks. It's hilarious. But they watched it as little, like, you know, like 6, 5, and 3, all staring at the TV, just watching Lawnmower Detectives and learning about how to fix lawnmowers because Uncle John. Ugh. So grief, so much grief. Grief for my husband to be the one again to find someone he loves. Just gone. No warning. Grief for my husband to have something that felt like love, right? Like John taking care of him ripped away, 3 days before he passed. So all of this, and then there is this rage building and budding inside of me. And I think of this friend and I just know. All of the suffering in this life, the pain that I've been through, the abuse that I've suffered through, it's been for something, right? I consider myself a kind of sommelier in some ways. Like I can meet someone and not only do I have an incredible bullshit radar, right? I can smell a rat from a mile away. I can smell a snake. But I can also like compassionately sense where there is trauma, where there is pain, where there is hurt. And I just could fucking smell a rat. I could smell a rat. And the whole community, maybe 20 people in the span of like a couple days, anybody who heard the story, get a lawyer, what the heck is going on? Just people, and we're trying to grieve, but things are happening so fast. The estate's being taken over. So I'm caught at this crux. This is where I wanted to share a little bit of like the nitty gritty, a little bit of where I'm like blind and stuck. Right? It's just all of these layers, flavors fighting against each other. But we watched a year ago a sweet neighbor, another important part of this community. She lost her husband, and the battle that ensued over her property was so gut-wrenching. Just to watch this woman who had just lost the love of her life now like having to battle just to keep her roots, just to keep her home. And I remember Matt and I just looking and being like, just feeling so much compassion for her and holding her and her grief and her pain and listening so much. And just being like, over property, over money, like this is, humans can do this, it befuddled us. And the day that I got the phone call about John, I was holding space for somebody. And the messages that came through this journey were pain. How we handle pain is everything in life. And not long before, maybe a week before all of this happened, Matt and me had a journey together, and we just celebrated. We celebrated the richness of this life, and it had nothing to do with property or money. It had everything to do with presence and love and connection and time and sovereignty and choice and just this awakening, this presence. And so I'm here, and I'm feeling the grief, and I'm feeling the rage, and I'm feeling the injustice, and I'm feeling the guilt because of everything we saw Mary go through. I don't want to be someone who's thinking about the property or the estate, but then I look out my window and this snake is there, and now my safety, my little cocoon, right? This little piece of paradise where every single person here was just someone beloved. John's ripped away, and in his place, a snake. Doesn't feel right, doesn't feel safe. I realized today there's a part of me that's like so deeply triggered because I grew up in a home where there were horrible things happening. But everybody put on a smile and waved and pretended like it was all okay. And so I did the same thing. I pretended like everything was okay. And I carried that out into my life, and that pattern repeated itself for way too long until I fucking couldn't pretend anymore. Like I literally couldn't. And now I'm the woman who can't pretend. And yet there's this person on the estate who waves and smiles and brings his son in, who we've never seen and never met in 45 years, who's inheriting this land that we've cultivated, that we've loved, that we've grown our family on. And it feels like I'm playing out this old paradigm, and I can't do it. And I don't know whether the universe, the mind fucks us. My mind is trying to figure it out. My mind is going through all the puzzle pieces. My mind is trying to know what the next thing is or what I should do. And this person is moving so fast. So I feel like I have to move fast, and I have to remind myself I don't have to decide right now. I can just be fucking sad. So I just want to be sad. I want to be sad because God, life is so precious. I know it's so precious. To love is to live. I don't know what life is without love. Oh. I don't know if I'm being called into the masculine, to be more fierce, sovereign, boundaried, to be the thorns of the rose, right? The rose without the thorns is consumed. Sometimes a deer needs to be poked in the nose to, well, I guess I'm not going to consume that thing. To be reminded, boundaries. Or if I'm being called into the feminine, to surrender, to trust, to let go, to allow. And all of me knows that there's a bigger plan, because every horrible thing that's ever happened to me cannot be untangled from the version of my life right now that I'm living that is so fucking full and real and divinely orchestrated. I wouldn't have my babies. I wouldn't be with Matt. I wouldn't be on this river. I wouldn't be in this bus. I wouldn't be this version of me who's showing up here and sharing. So I'm fucking grateful. So I know there's a bigger picture. I know I'll be grateful for all this someday, but I feel I had like my third migraine ever yesterday because I feel inside of me this like inaction, action, inaction, action, and we're just coming up against each other, and my masculine and feminine are just like, John would have wanted us to have this land, wouldn't you? Unless we're being pointed in a new direction, unless this is part of the cosmic plan. How to know? The mind fucks. The mind seeks and cannot find, cannot know, cannot truly deeply know. Am I being asked to honor and cultivate that inner fire, to fight the good fight, to fight for what I know to be right? Is there a peaceful, compassionate way to do that? Or am I being asked to wave my white flag, to fall back and trust that what is truly for me cannot be missed? Am I cultivating strength, resilience, fierce boundaries, thorns, or sweetness, softness, surrender, receptivity, petals? I don't know. I can't know. I can't know with my mind alone. Make me know with all of me. Make it so I cannot miss the way that is for me. Amen. And a little woman. And the universe just flowed through and said, you have time. No rush. Move slow. Move with intention. And it's not about the estate. It's not about the money. I mean, those things are there, right? And yeah, they could have changed our life. What's coming up so big and so loud for me right now is just that little girl who didn't have any thorns, who watched bad things happen, who experienced them happening, and couldn't speak out, and couldn't fight back, and couldn't honor God, the fucking no her body was screaming. So I want to do that here, compassionately, wholly. I don't want to go to court and spend hundreds of thousands of dollars and time and energy. I wish things could be human. I wish I could have a conversation. I wish I could assume the best about this person, but money, death, taxes. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. And there's a part of me, this little girl part, that's also afraid that this is some kind of punishment. Growing up in a home with corporal punishment, with discipline, growing up in a church where, the first story we hear is of the first sin and God's wrath, kicking him out of the garden. I rewrote that story in one of my first podcasts, and it really helped me to reframe what my innermost belief about my own worthiness, about my place in the universe was. And so that version of myself, right, the version of myself that could rewrite that story is stepping in here, and she's rewriting this story, and she's saying, you are not being punished, okay? You are worthy. You are good enough. This is what's being mirrored back to you right now is the cycle of life, right? It is the way of nature, and just how in the forest, from the decay sprouts the seed, from the seed, the tree, from the tree, the seed, and ultimately the tree back to the decay. And that cycle goes on ad infinitum. As in nature, so it is with us. No matter how good I am, there will always be death. There will always be decay. And if I can stop seeing the reflection of the energy of life as either validating my worthiness or punishing me, if I can start to just see it as useful information reminding me that everything in life is coming in seasons and cycles, that this too shall pass, that after the winter comes the spring, to enjoy the spring because after the spring comes the winter. If I can soften myself, I can feel myself kind of contracted against all these things I don't want to be feeling. If I can open myself, surrender myself, soften myself to feel it all. I mean, think even Jesus Christ himself, when he was on the cross, he had a moment, right? My God, why have you forsaken me? He had a moment of just allowing himself the full throttle human experience, to feel separation, to feel grief, to feel the pain of it all. He just allowed. And on the other side of that was authentic compassion. Forgive them, for they know not what they do. And if I try to skip past all of the icky feelings on the inside, the anger, the hate, the rage, if I skip through that, if I skip through my moment, why have you forsaken me? Then I don't know how to get to authentic compassion. I don't know how to get to real, full body, full fuck yes forgiveness. And as I start to soften myself and allow myself to feel these things and allow myself compassion, right? Love for just being human, that it's okay to feel all the things. If I can give myself that fucking compassion, then it becomes not just a tool in my belt. It becomes a way of being that fills me up, that spills out and over onto everyone and everything around me. And so sometimes, remember your story, your healing, they matter more than you know. And every act of self-love, no matter how small, carries echoes, ripples, a vibration of authentic love. And sometimes self-love is just that, allowing yourself that "why have you forsaken me" moments, allowing yourself to feel all the shameful, scary, icky, sticky things, allowing yourself to feel that moment of separation or grief. Sometimes it's having fucking thorns. It's pertinent to be a little disagreeable in this life, honey. And sometimes it's falling back into trust. And sometimes it's this beautiful dance of all those things all at once. Maybe it could always be that way. But when we do that, that energy, right? That authentic self-love, that's an energy that cannot help but touch and change everything and everyone it comes into contact with. I need to remember this. I don't need to do anything right now but just love myself, love my family, guard myself. I'm not ready to look in that direction. I'm not ready to make decisions. I'm not ready to move. That's how you age 10 years in the span of a week. And also how you cultivate a multidimensional experience of being grief-stricken, feeling forsaken, and also being so fucking grateful for the huge ass lessons that are washing in from the universe, for the direction, right? Like there's obviously something big happening here, cataclysmic for my world happening here. Things are shifting, and there's a part of me that's excited. I don't want to be that little girl anymore. But I don't want to be so afraid of being that little girl that I burn it all down, you know? Somewhere in the middle. This podcast is here to share stories and spark curiosity, not to replace professional advice. Before diving into any psychedelics or practices we talk about here, check in with your own deep knowing, your healthcare provider, and know your local laws. Anchor in your own truth before reaching out for anything or anyone. That is the real power. And one more thing, I make this show just for you. If you're loving it, drop me a comment or review on Spotify, iTunes, or YouTube. Let me know I should keep showing up. Grateful to be here with you.